They always said the hottest heat in Georgia didn't come from the sunite, rose up straight from the asphalt, shimmered like it was daring you to test your luck. And that morning outside Monroe Executive Airfield, you could have cracked an egg on the tarmac and eaten breakfast right there. I was just a teenage intern, pushing a cart loaded with empty water jugs, sweat sticking my shirt to my back. Nobody cared if I had dreams about flying because I wasn't logging flight hours, wasn't loading baggage, wasn't even making coffee half the time. I was the kid you called when someone left fingerprints on the glass or spilled oil on the hangar floor. But I kept quiet and I watched, you know what I mean? Because planes, they made sense to me. They were more than just machines. They were music if you listened close. Every screw and relay had a note. And I'd learned to hear it all from my granddad Ernest, who said every engine will tell you what it needs if you shut up long enough to listen. So, after my shift, I'd sneak out back to this forgotten hangar where an old 1968 Mooney M20C sat under a dusty tarp. Never flown since before I was born. My granddad bought it at auction, never got it off the ground again, but that was my project, quietly rebuilding it, using his notebook, his tools, try to honor the man who taught me to clean carburetors before I ever drove a car. No money in it, just gas money and whatever broken parts one could carry home. But I wasn't there for a paycheck. I was learning, but mostly I was trying to live up to the legacy of a guy who never needed applause to feel proud. That day started normal, but you ever get that feeling when the air shifts like something big's about to go down? Around lunch, black SUV comes tearing up to the terminal. Way too fast. Windows tinted so dark you know whoever's inside isn't used to hearing no. Out jumps a dude in a crisp suit, phone glued to his ear, two assistants scrambling behind like they're afraid to breathe. Turns out, that's Douglas Wexler, CEO of Pinnacle Aerotech, biggest name in aviation tech. Guy who owns more jets than most folks own shoes. His private Gulfstream G500 is parked 20 feet away, looking all sorts of fancy except the belly panels wide open, tech crawling underneath, and the boss is looking about ready to explode. I kept one ear on the situation, can't help it. Tech mutters about a serious electrical issue with the EC's environmental control system. Something about the compressor not drawing power, no idea why, and now Wexler is blowing his stack. He's got a boardroom of investors waiting in San Diego, and he wants his jet fixed in 30 minutes, or he's pulling contracts, and man, you should have seen people scatter. But I'm standing there thinking, wait, this sounds familiar. Granddad used to show me how compressors didn't just fail, they quit when they lost trust in the connections. That memory hits me like a gut punch, and suddenly I can see it. Bad relay, maybe a ground wire loose, maybe something simple, something nobody else would see. But what's a kid supposed to do? I didn't have a badge, didn't have a title. The certified mechanic was out sick. Only guy left was Jerry, nervous as a cat in a dog park, sweating through his shirt, trying to call in a team from Atlanta to, or 3 hours away. Wexler's going ballistic, assistants are whispering, one's about to send for a backup jet from Dallas, but even that's going to take too long. So I step forward, stupid or brave, you decide. I call out to Jerry, check the E36 ground line, could be a break near the lower relay bracket. He looks at me like I grew a third eye, but the assistant with the tortoise-shell glasses overhears. Suddenly, I'm not invisible anymore. Wexler spins around, cold as ice. Who are you? He snaps. Jalen Brooks. I intern here. I stammer, feeling about 2 inches tall. He glares. You think you can fix my jet? All I could say was, I think I know where to look. You want to keep waiting, or let me try 15 minutes to prove I'm wrong? The assistant leans in, whispers something. Wexler finally grunts. You break it, you pay for it. That's fair, I guess. Jerry moves aside. I'm under the stairs, fingers tracing wires with muscle memory, heart racing, looking for a loose connector because sometimes it's never the big stuff, it's the tiny things, right? Sure enough, I find ETA corroded contact, bent pin, barely hanging on. I file it down, recrimp, wrap it up tight, double check, triple check. Jerry's hovering. You ever done this before? Not on a Gulfstream. Did something close on an old Piper once. I say, hands shaking but steady. Start up, Wexler barks. The pilot hops in, fires up the system silence for a second, then a low rumble, engines kicking in, AC humming. Cold air blasts out. Jerry's jaw drops, and for the first time all day, my shoulders relax. Wexler storms over, face unreadable. "You did that?" he asks. "Yes, sir." "You certified?" "No, sir." "Then why the hell did you touch my jet?" All I said was, "Because I knew what the problem was and no one else did." He stares at me, and I realize he's not mad as weighing me. Finally, he asks about the necklace around my neck, me granddad's Air Force wings. I tell him the story, and for a moment, the billionaire and the broken turn are just two guys, both carrying old family legacies heavier than gold. He tells me his dad was Navy, different wings, same pride. There's this pause, thick with all the things neither of us say. Then he nods. "Walk with me," he says, like it's nothing, but for me it's everything. We step away from the crowd. He says he's seen a lot of kids try to impress him, degrees they didn't earn, confidence they didn't deserve. I just shrug. Didn't have time for excuses. He smirks. Right answer. He leans on the railing. Asks why I'm working unpaid. I tell him I just want to be near planes, the one thing that always makes sense. Planes don't lie. They either work or they don't. He laughs. Says I remind him of who he used to be. I think I saw something shift in him right then, but it passed quick. He pulls a card from his jacket. "Call this number tomorrow. Ask for Marlene. Come to Dallas next weekend. See what you can do with a real team, real hangar paid." My hands are shaking as I take it. "You serious?" I ask. "I don't joke about jets," he says. "Or potential." He walks away, but I just stand there, card in one hand, necklace in the other, feeling like maybe, just maybe, something cracked open for me. Back near the jet, the air is cool now, ECS running fine. The assistant hands me a water bottle, says, "You really pulled that off." I just nod. She asks if I know how rare it is for someone to step up like that. I just say it wasn't the first time something looked broken and nobody wanted to touch it. The pilot gives a thumbs up, Wexler disappears inside, and as the plane taxis off, Jerry comes over, shakes his head. "You listened," he says. "You looked like you belonged under that jet." I grin. I felt like I did. We watched the jet lift into the sky, heat shimmering off the tarmac. The assistant asks what I'll do with the card. I hold it up, edges already bent. "Call it," I say. She nods. I wander back to the hangar, lay my hand on the old Mooney, tap twice like Granddad used to do. Open his notebook, flip to the page that says, "Learn the silence before the roar." Sun dips low, shadows stretch. For the first time, I think I might really be ready for whatever's next. Next morning, same boots, same shirt, but everything's changed. Jerry gives me the "you earned it" nod. The office staff brings me coffee. I don't even like coffee, but I take it feels like a trophy. I sit on the wing of the Mooney, card in my palm, and just breathe. Maybe that moment with the G500 kicked open a door I didn't know was locked. Phone buzzes, unknown number. "Hello. Jalen Brooks? This is Marlene from Pinnacle Aerotech. She invites me to Dallas, says I'll be paid, tells me what to bring." I look at the Mooney, look out at the runway, and just say yes. Not because of money, not because someone big finally noticed, but because for the first time I felt seen. Saturday, town feels too small. Black sedan, airport gates, driver in a suit. Jalen Brooks, that's me. Dallas is a different world, bigger, shinier, everything humming with power. But I don't feel out of place. I solve problems. I fix 3 electrical issues, calibrate a faulty readout, spot a design flaw that has 2 engineers asking for my toolkit by lunch. Wexler calls me in. His isn't a job offer yet. It's a mentorship pipeline, 2 weeks in Dallas every other month. And if I keep it up, we'll talk career. I take the folder, look him in the eye. "My granddad would have liked you," I say. Wexler grins. "Sounds like he'd have liked you more." Sun dips, hanger glows gold. I pull out the necklace, bronze wings warm in my palm. Some wings come from licenses, others from legacy. So, if this story hits you, pass it on. Somebody out there, maybe they're the kid sweeping floors. Maybe they're the boss who forgot how they started. They might be waiting for a shot, just like I was. Don't let them go unseen. And if you've ever had to choose between being safe and stepping up, tell me, what would you have done? Where's the line between guts and recklessness? Let's talk about it.